After going through this program, chances are you've had an excellent recovery, a partial recovery, or you've been disappointed by the amount of recovery and change in symptoms that you've had to date. I'm going to start with the latter two categories first. If you've only had partial recovery or what might be called a disappointing recovery, there's several steps and things to look at and try to figure out so that you can move forward. The first thing is don't give up. Please don't despair. This is a very short course. It's a starting point. Even if you've had only 10% improvement or 5% or 20% improvement, if you can do that in 4 weeks or 6 weeks, there's a very good chance that you can have 10% or 20% more improvement in another 4 to 6 weeks. And if you keep working at it, chances are you'll do well. If you fall into despair or despondency, that triggers the anterior cingulate cortex, which tends to trigger more pain and more mind-body symptoms. So please don't give up. The second thing is that some people begin to worry that something was missed. They worry that there's a physical diagnosis or there's some structural problem that the doctor somehow missed, and they fall into this trap of believing that there's something seriously wrong with them. That can be a huge impediment to getting better. So please don't fall into that trap. If you feel that there may be something that was missed, or you're worried about that, please see a doctor. Get another consultation. Get reassurance that there's nothing seriously physically wrong with you, if there isn't. The third thing is that if you can, please be confident once you've gone through that process that you have mind-body syndrome. People who are living in doubt, or living in worry that they don't know what's wrong and they're just not sure, that tends to activate pathways in the brain and in the body which augment pain or other symptoms. So as much as you can, please be confident that you have mind-body syndrome, understand that you are healthy, that you are well, that you can get better, and with a little more work and with a little more time, you will. For some people, it's a good idea to restart the program, to begin just at the beginning and go all the way through it. This is particularly helpful for people who've had some amount of recovery, for people who have missed some of the exercises, haven't done them all, which is probably most people, and for people who benefit from a structured program and having the perseverance to start over and begin to work through the program again. For some people, particularly people who are perfectionists, the straight-A student who doesn't miss anything, starting at the beginning of the program might not be a good idea, because sometimes people like this put too much pressure on themselves, and it's better for folks like this to take a break and maybe choose some of the exercises, some of the meditation, some of the writing exercises that they found most helpful, and continue to work on those, but not working as diligently, not taking a half an hour every day to do these assignments. That can put excess pressure on some people and is often not a good idea. Figure out what might be the barriers to getting better. Is it educational, as I mentioned before? Is it the understanding? Is it the confidence? Is it the belief that you are healthy and you can get better? Make sure that's in place as much as you possibly can. The second barrier is the behavioral work. If you're confident that you have mind-body syndrome, if you're confident that you have a psychophysiologic disorder, hopefully you'll be able to take control of it, to talk firmly to the symptoms or the pain, to yell at them or scream at them or laugh at them or to simply flick them off like they're a fly. Some people have found it hard to do that. And when they do that firmly, when they really say, enough, I'm tired of this, I'm not doing this anymore, sometimes they swear, as I've mentioned before, that can be a powerful thing in augmenting your recovery and getting you over the hump of dealing with this psychophysiologic disorder. The third barrier can be the emotional work. For many people, there's emotional issues that they haven't touched, or they haven't been able to access or get to, or feel like they can resolve. And if there's some significant emotional issues from your past or from your present that are still weighing on you, then obviously those things need to be addressed. And you can do them through the writing exercises, through the ISTDP exercises, or certainly in seeking help from a therapist or counselor who can help you work through those. When people work through their emotional issues, they feel lighter. They feel as if a weight has been lifted off their shoulders, and if you're still feeling that weight from those emotional issues, then it's an obvious sign that those are things that you need to work on in order to free yourself from mind-body syndrome. The other thing is that there may be life events, there may be events in your life or situations in your life that need addressing by action that you need to take in your real life. And so make a list of those things, as has been mentioned in the program, and see if there's some things that you need to take action on, that you need to do to deal with the situation, to confront someone, to make a difficult situation about separating from a person or a job. And this can often be a huge key to unlocking symptoms of mind-body syndrome. There may be other barriers. Has the symptoms or pain become part of your identity? That is something that needs to be addressed. Is there a significant amount of anxiety or fear of the symptom itself? I've seen many people who are simply afraid of the pain. The pain itself is what is causing the fear, and that can be addressed through a process similar to ISTDP, where you decide that the fear is the problem and you actually deal with that, attack that, so to speak, name that, give it a shape, give it a embodiment, and get rid of it. Deal with it forcefully and powerfully. For some people, doing the inner work, continuing on the emotional journey, is not what they need. They need to take a break from all this. Some people have been doing this work for quite a while and have been pretty successful at it, and what they really need to do is begin to live their life. They need to focus on the outward journey. They need to get more active in their families, with their work, with their community, volunteer work, whatever it is, having fun, having hobbies, doing things in their life which give them pleasure and allow them to see themselves as agents of power, of change, and to improve their happiness, which improves the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is a powerful part of blocking mind-body symptoms and these nerve pathways. And then it's really being persistent. I know from my experience that people who are persistent, who continue to work on these issues slowly, gradually, incrementally over time, doing a little bit of this work, doing the things that are important to them over time, can make a difference. If you fall back into fear, if you fall back into anxiety and worry and preoccupation with the pain and despair about not getting better, then you fall back into these nerve pathways. But I've had many people who it's taken several months or a year or even longer, but they gradually, incrementally worked on these issues, and they gradually began to see success. They didn't give up. And so please consider that you can do this for yourself. There's a variety of resources that I've put together on a resource page of my website and also in my book that can be helpful to you. Mindfulness meditation is part of what I teach, and there's mindfulness meditation classes all over the world. One of my friends named Ron Siegel has an excellent website mindfulness-solution.com. He's got a lot of free meditations on that website, and I highly recommend it. Byron Katie has written a book called Loving What Is, which is excellent, and a lot of people have found that really helpful in dealing in a cognitive way with some of the issues in their life. A lot of people benefit from work on compassion. The most important rule of this program is be kind to yourself, and there's a couple excellent resources, a book by Chris Germer, another one by Kristen Neff that are listed, that are excellent books in working with self-compassion and training oneself to be kinder to oneself. There's imagery work. Belle Ruth Naparstik has a number of CDs that do visual imagery that can be very powerful. And then finally, as I mentioned before, seeking help from a therapist. There's therapists in every community, but there's relatively fewer therapists who are specialized in ISTDP work. But if there's somebody in your area, that can be extremely beneficial. There's resources on my website and in my book for places to find practitioners in your area for that. So Manic Experiencing is another very powerful therapy that was developed by Peter Levine. And there's people all over the world who do that kind of therapy, which is particularly helpful for people with prior traumatic events. EMDR and EFT are also available around the world, and life coaching as well. So all these kinds of therapies can be extremely beneficial for people to get someone to reflect to them, someone to work with in an ongoing fashion to help you heal. You can heal. If you have mind-body syndrome, you can heal. No matter how long it takes, there are ways to unlock the door, to find the keys to what's blocking you from getting better.